he says. You know, that's what the guy said. Anyway, long and short of it is, we're going to talk about when you run into something that, and this is a special topic today, right? So let's say that you're, have you ever, well, when y'all were doing that starter job, you went up with a little issue with the bolt going back in because, you know, that kind of thing. So what do you got to be able to salvage these situations so that you don't just give up, cave in, and I don't know what to do next. You got to go find somebody else to solve your problem for you. Y'all didn't do that, did you? Okay. Well, all right then. Well, I mean, one of the things I've seen these people. You know, some people, if you know, they know that you put the wrench on the bolt and you turn it, and if it comes off, that's wonderful. But what if it doesn't? Or what if somebody breaks it off? See what I'm saying? All right, so let's talk about what we did here. You know, the dirty hands dealt sometimes. There's some job we draw that seems predisposed to smack us around. You know, the one that you're, you know, like I say, this is the one that you're sick of working on it and you don't care how it turns out, you just want it gone. You know, just want to be done with this and so you can move on. Well, you're in a bad way and somebody else needs to be doing the work. If you've got that mindset, you're in the wrong place. Every job's a picture of the person that does it. Have you ever done a really crappy job that you were ashamed to take a picture of and say, I did this? Yeah. You know, don't do that. Ever. You know what I'm saying? What you're wanting to do, every job you do needs to be pristine. Like when they go in here looking behind you and they go deep into the door, they need to find out that you put every bolt back and you didn't round any of them off and you didn't screw it up where it was going to be hard for the next guy and all that kind of thing. Well, anyway, a lot of what we do is just simple maintenance. Oil filter. Of course, you can make a mess out of an oil and filter change if you do it wrong, can't you? How many of you guys have ever double gasketed an oil filter and made an oily mess? You know how I'm always saying, when you take the oil filter off, you look at that thing and you make sure you know where that gasket is. If you don't know where it is, you better find it because it may be stuck up there. And if you reach up in there dark and screw that filter on there and it double gaskets the filter and it moves over, then you crank it up and oil's all over the floor, you'll get the big hoss laugh from all the other people in the shop. That ain't fun either. All right, so have you ever done something that you hoped the instructor or the other people wouldn't see? Something like that. All right, some jobs require us to solve problems. It's the condition cause correction cycle. Define the problem, find out what's causing it, and take care of it. Basically, that's what y'all are in the midst of right now, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, we're basically going a little deeper into that than we ordinarily would because we want to give you some extra understanding of it. Fuel filter replacements neglected dreadfully by some people. I got kind of tickled when Olivia had her Explorer in here, and I said, you know, Olivia, this thing's got 200-some thousand miles on it. We probably ought to check the fuel filter. And so she says, okay, so we check the fuel filter, pick the fuel filter off. Man, this thing's horrible. You know, you blow backwards to it into one of them plastic cups and then all this crud comes out. I think, man, I can't believe you went this long without changing the fuel. We put a fuel filter on. The next time I changed the oil on my car, I checked the fuel filter off and it was just as bad as hers. I mean, it's just, well, pickup trucks, Ford pickups, they changed it to 15,000 miles for fuel filter change, you know, several years ago. I don't know what it is now. But anyway, on the Ford lines like this, when you're going to take that little, you know these lines where you use a little tool like these to disconnect them? Mm-hmm. You need to, you know, if it's gritty and dirty and nasty up in there, you need to wash that out really, really good and blow it out with air. Because all it takes to mess you up on one of them lines like that, to bend those fingers where you can't get that thing off, is 1 or 2 grains of dirt. You know, if it's clean as a whistle, you can slide that up in there and it'll pop right back off there. You ever fight with one of these? Get it on there and try, can't get it off, you get too rough with it. Those little fingers that used to be like this, if they get like that, and it won't let it come out, you're in a mess. Now you can get those little replacement fingers to go up in those lines. They used to have Ford plans, not for real now. But anyway, clean the area, retainer fingers, WD-40, whatever, spray it, clean it, lubricate it, and it'll come right on off. And that's basically what I'm talking about right there. When you get the dirt and grit cleaned out, the stainless steel retainer will move really nice, and you can just pull that thing right off of it. Now, don't break any retainer or fuel tank hose connector. Be really careful. See that up there? You don't want to come over here. What happens when you mess up the fuel tank? You have to buy another fuel tank. Some fuel tanks cost $1,000. You know, so when you're taking the fuel tank down, you want to make doggone sure that you look up over there real good and make sure that there's not that one little hose that's hooked up to a little vapor outlet that you weren't paying attention to, because when it comes off, it goes snap, And even if you sort of halfway patch it and put it back on there, you're gonna have check engine lights because of vapor leaks. And even if somebody else winds up working on it, they're gonna say, well, the last person that worked on this broke that because it's a fresh break and they didn't have that light before. And then they come back to you and say, hey, you know, you broke the gas tank on this car and it's gonna cost $1,000 to get another gas tank for it. See, this is serious business. You know, be really careful. When possible, empty the gas tank first. But I mean, be really careful when you're taking them things down. Make sure every darn thing is unhooked from that gas tank, and you know, watch while you're lowering it down. That's just the best advice I can give you. If you patch something with wire ties that was supposed to be retained a different way, and the fuel line pops off of there, you know, you got liability there too. It could be life changing. Winging it when you're removing a full tank filter and other component can cause really expensive damage. Caution, caution, right? Now kits are available, but not for everything. You know, do these little clips look familiar to you, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay, you seen those? Do you see some of those today?
That fourth one.
Yeah, this one right here. Yeah, the
has
white one, the white one, and the black one's for the bigger line. And the white one is for the, you know, like one of those pressure line, those return line. And then you got these little lines, these right here. I've actually got, you know, a lot of times when you get a filter, it'll come with extra ones of these and all, and I just started collecting them. It's a good idea to start keeping those. You know, keep your little tray or something in your box or a little bucket and start throwing those things in there and all that. So a conscientious mechanic will have a kit like this in their toolbox, even if they put it together themselves, which is what I did in there. I got one in my office in there. All right, now this is when the police failed to nab a donut snatcher in a 100 miles an hour car chase. You're supposed to laugh. This is funny, okay? All right. Yeah, I snagged it off the internet. I didn't take a picture of it while I was happening. GM cars will use a filter that can be removed with wrenches, but there's O-rings right here. That O-ring, it doesn't usually come off, and if you lose that O-ring, you put that line back on there. You can't tighten it enough if there ain't no O-ring on it, or it won't leak. Double check your filters, make sure they're not gonna leak. You don't wanna make a dadgum fuel leak and have somebody have to come back over there. Now, be careful with them. Usually the existing O-ring will work second time. Here's something else. What you're gonna do, find a wrench that fits that and hold that while you're turning that. You know what I mean? I don't remember who it was. I think it was Glenn. And he was supposed to hold the fitting that was screwed into the transmission and break the power and break the line loose and then screw it out of there. So instead of doing that, he just put a wrench on the line and started turning it. And so because the line was still tightened in the fitting, he just kept turning the thing until the line got twisted up and all screwed up and everything. We had to put another line in there. I mean, he should have known better than that. He seemed more intelligent than that. But you hold this and break that loose, and you screw it out with your fingers. But he just kept muscling it out of there, you know, until the line was all rolled up in a ball. And it was a nasty mess. And that was a transmission line, but it's a similar process. This otherwise routine Toyota Camry fuel filter turned out to be a problem-solving odyssey. This one has a banjo bolt on the top and a flare duct fitting on the bottom. You know, banjo bolt's that hollow bolt like goes into brake calipers. We got washers on either side of it. You know what I'm talking about. That's a banjo bolt. All right, now that's what it looks like. This one has a banjo bolt on top, flare nut on the bottom. It's like I'm showing you right there. So this one here wasn't such a big deal. Now Chrysler's been putting their filter in the tank as a part of the fuel pump module for quite a few years. But Chryslers have frame-mounted fuel filters in their lines, get these little plastic retainers. You've seen those. You squeeze these, and they come off, right? You seen them? Mm-hmm. You've seen those, right? Sometimes you have a bigger line like that. And remember we fought it on the Crown Victoria. They had a bigger line, and we squeezed, messed up. You got to figure out a way to make that work, you know. And so you pinch with your fingers to release the retainer, remove the fuel line from the filter. But you might, you know, you gotta. I like to take that retainer off the line after that, put it back up in there, in that part, and then snap it back on there that way, instead of leaving it dancing around on the line. You got it? This piece seems so simple. On this Toyota, see, this is what we did right here. And we actually managed to get that ratchet and socket when we took that banjo bolt out. No problem. Now, the shop manual says Toyota does not provide specific instructions for fuel filter replacement. However, important related procedures are discussed under service precautions. So, translation is, you're on your own. How hard can it be? And this is down here by the engine and next to the shock tower and all that. So we're going to change this fuel filter. Ain't been ever been changed since the car was new. All right, so 94 Camry, filter mounted on the driver's side shock tower, got on it, banjo bolt, got that easy enough. Then on the back side, you got a line wrench, don't go on there, got to take it off. Couldn't get the fuel line on the opposite end to break loose. Just a plain old flare nut. Not even with a 6-point flare nut wrench. And sometimes whenever your wrench is trying to slip a little bit, if you put some valve grinding compound around the bolt, y'all have used that in here, haven't you? Have I done showed you the valve grinding compound thing? I've showed him, I hadn't showed him. Y'all work together most of the time, I don't understand that. But right here that old gray gritty stuff, you put it on around the bolt. Now the diesel department down there, you know, they kill a butterfly with a hammer. What they do is dip a socket in oil and throw it in sand, and then they drive it on there and they let that provide extra, you know, stuff. But anyway, but I tried myself to get it off there, and it may have well been welded. It was horrible. As a matter of fact, I can show you the actual fuel filter. You can pass that around. That's the one I'm talking about here. The more we fiddle with it, the worse it got, the more we rounded it off. Well, now we've got a car we can't drive because we've rounded it off. It's all screwed up. We needed to change that fuel filter. Really ugly. All right, so before we cut the line, which I knew we was going to have to do, I called Toyota. Is there a repair kit for this line? Because that ain't a normal fitting, you know what I'm saying, like you'd expect. Not like something you can buy from a parts store that I know about. There was no repair kit, and a fuel line would be more than $100. This started out pretty simple, and it turned nasty. See what I'm saying? We got to salvage this situation. Show you how we did it. All right, that's what it looked like. That's what you're holding in your hand right there. See that nasty looking mess? All right, cut it off. No other choice. Yes, it wouldn't come loose. Had that line sticking up right now. We needed a reliable, professional way to install the new filter. Where there's a will, there's a way. How much pressure is on that line? Fuel pressure, guys. What do you usually measure when you measure fuel pressure? What you been seeing on your gauge?
About 40.
40 pounds. That's good. Good answer. Okay, 40 pounds. What you gonna see there? All right. So this is actually a 1/4 inch pipe with 3/8 hose fitting. Here's something else I want you guys to do. Learn to recognize what kind of thread you got. If it's tapered, it's pipe thread. And if it's pipe thread, you don't necessarily have to screw it all the way in there until it disappears, until you don't see any threads. Because as it screws in there, it basically gets bigger and it seals. That's what it does right there. All right, so that's a fitting that I got. Now, it just so happened the threads on that were close enough to where they worked really well in the new fuel filter. We had a new fuel filter here. All right, and so what are we going to do is they have nearly the same pitch as the metric fitting on the fuel filter, close enough. Pipe threads tapered to seal. These threads matched our filter really well. We couldn't get the right flare nut at the time we were making the repair, and this was the next best thing. This is what a flare nut does. A flare nut seals on the inside. That flare is pulled against a cone-shaped thing, and so the threads are actually holding that flare against it, and that's where it keeps it from leaking, where that flare is right there. And so you basically go ahead and make a double flare right there. It presses the inverted cone against the matching cone-shaped seat, the mating fitting, and the two fittings are different the way they seal, but the pipe fitting, with a thread pitch in diameter near enough to the side that it would work in spite of its taper. Worked really well. Holds the line flare against the matching cone. And our 1/4 inch pipe thread, we had to prepare it first. Here's what we did. Cut it off. That's what we did to start with. Right? Now I cut the barbed pipe off of the nut. Didn't need that. I'm not going to put rubber hose on there. We're going to make this like it's supposed to be. All right, you see a little step in that fitting? All right, well that left a ridge inside the fitting and it had to be drilled out. So we drilled it out. Get a bit the right size, drill it out, 1/4 inch drill bit, cleared our new homemade flare nut to allow the line to slide easily through it. See, there's our line. That looking pretty good so far? You like that? All right, so next thing we did a neat little double flare. That's looking better all the time, ain't it? You like that? We double flared the line, and then we were able to attach the line to the filter. There's your little double flare. You know, everybody learns that whole rim breaks, and you're actually, that's up a little too far. It's supposed to be even with that. And then you put this, flip that over, put it in there, tighten it down, take that out, and then follow up with your cone. You get to do that. Anyway, we made it look like that. And then we took a copper tubing union. You ever seen a copper tubing union, right? That's a copper tubing union. You got a ferrule there. When you tighten that on there, that crimps that down over that line. The male compression threads, you got a sleeve, you got a nut. These right here, you can buy them at the parts store. They cost, you know, almost nothing. 3/8 copper tubing union. There was a girl that came in her little Volkswagen Bug one time, and she had it was hot, it was summertime, she had a little fan mounted on the dash, and she said, my air conditioner won't work, and they tell me I need a $400 or $500 condenser, and I can't afford that, and I don't know what y'all can do, but I said, well, we'll have a look at it. And there was a line that was real similar to this, and it was going through a little strap on the, right there, going up there feeding the condenser, and it had jiggled and wiggled enough to where it had cracked that line. right there by that little band strap. So we took the band strap off, and I put a copper tubing union in there and tightened it up really good and tight, because there's nothing unsafe about it. It was the air conditioning, you know, if it blows, it goes a little bit, whatever. We tightened it up good, didn't have no leak or anything. And our air conditioner, we pull the air out of it and juiced it up with the cold stuff, and it, you know, she had a fixed air conditioner for less than $10. You know what I'm saying? You don't always have to replace the whole thing, even though Nick's truck, he did have to replace one of the cylinder heads. All right, now then, so the fuel line made a 90-degree bend below the filter, and we cut that bend off with a tubing cutter, made our flare, and then we attached it with a copper tubing union. And so we had a perfect little fix. We been able to put it back on there. Fuel systems only have about 40 pounds of pressure. Pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. Brake lines have about 2,000 pounds of pressure on them. Do not use a fitting like that to fix a brake line, okay? I mean, some people will actually do that. Some of the goofy people actually put a hose with clamps on there trying to fix a brake line. I mean, don't ever go there. You gotta think about how much pressure is in the line, what's the job it's gonna do, is what I'm about to do gonna be safe? Well, with this fuel line, it will hold 40 pounds of pressure like a song, no problem. That's the end of the slideshow. So what do you think about that? What's the last big problem you ran into that you needed to fix?
Some about this semester, last semester.
Yeah. Well, any semester. What's the worst problem you've had to solve?
Probably a Crown Vic and that fuel tank.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and what happened was, and that was an easy mistake to make, there's bolts that holds the fuel pump in the fuel tank. And bolts, of course, you had fun with the engine in that HHR too, did you? But yeah, that was a good one. And Timothy's getting ready to put a motor in a Trailblazer. We'll see if he fools with this plastic screwdriver and does this, you know.
You know what the hardest thing was?